let's go right ahead and let me open up these slides real quick so that way we can talk about the recent WNBA games. Now, surprise, surprise, since Caitlin Clark has been eliminated from WNBA, from the WNBA postseason, the WNBA viewership is going down. I wonder why. Maybe it's because you decide to have your games on football night, which makes no sense. It genuinely makes no sense. I'm going to continue saying this every single time that I do this WNBA segments because it's not only is it just bad planning, it's also unfair for a lot of these WNBA athletes because they're already mad at Caitlin for hogging the spotlight, and now what are they going to do about football? Like, it's really just it's a bad situation for all of them. Now, on Friday, these games went down, which is a little bit of more of a respectable day for these games to go down. The Minnesota Lynx ended up winning in Game 3 to make the series 2-1. However, that does not really matter towards the end because the Connecticut Sun ended up tying the series back up in Game 4 over Sunday and is now in prime contention. Well, not really in prime contention, but now they're going to play a Game 5 in Minnesota. So, and this is going to close out the series. This is the most competitive series that that the WNBA is having right now, and arguably this is literally the only series that has not ended with the better team beating the worst team. So anything can really happen, and by that I mean like all the previous playoff games and all the previous rounds that have happened before this matchup between the Lynx and the Sun, they were all like very predictable. The top-heavy teams were going to end up coming out on top. And on the other side, however, the Liberty ended up closing out the Aces in Game 4. They ended up losing on Friday, which was a little bit surprising because, again, I thought they were going to end up just closing out the game in 3 and sweeping them, but that didn't happen. The Aces, they ended up showing that they still had more fight in them. They ended the game with 95 total points, and the Liberty in the third quarter of that Game 3 only had 6 points. Yes, that third quarter was the collapse, and that 6-point performance was awful from the Liberty. And of course, since they had to play catch up afterwards, and they couldn't really afford to. Like that third quarter killed them and was the reason why they could not end up coming out on top. And obviously those issues were quickly amended once they ended up playing in Game 4, as the Liberty sort of turned it around on them, and it was the fourth quarter where the Aces started to struggle. They only put up 11 points in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, the Liberty ended up putting up 23 points. And to put this in perspective, in 2 quarters, the Aces were only able to put up 24 points, meaning that in one fourth quarter performance from the Liberty, they were just 1 point worse than the Aces were in 2 quarters, meaning the entire second half. So that Liberty team ended up closing them out with 0 problems whatsoever in the final game. And so now in Game 4, and now the only real competitive series that we have left is Connecticut against Minnesota. And this game is going to take place tomorrow at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. So for any of you guys that are interested in that, I recommend tuning in. Now, let's talk about like the actual leaders of the game themselves. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about Game 3 first for each respective series. So this was the game that the Lynx ended up winning. And the Connecticut Sun, they really, for a team that had home court advantage, they really did not take advantage of it. I did not mean to sound redundant there, but seriously, they did not take advantage at all. And Nafisa Collier, yes, Andre in the chat mentioned Nafisa against Stewie, Nafisa versus Stewie, and yes, it was a very, very solid game that the two of them played, and honestly, I mean, how should I say this? The performance from Minnesota was really like, Nafisa was fantastic in this game, ended with 26 points and 11 rebounds, And let's see, that was really like the highlight performance of this game when you look at both teams. And I mean, there was also Brianna Jones, again, forgive me if I mess up that last name, going up against Nafisa, and she ended the game with 21 points, but again, still just wasn't enough for the Lynx. And they really messed up their home court advantage because they really could have closed the series out right here and now, but now they're forced to play an away game in Minnesota, and depending on how the home crowd is going to be over there, I have no idea. I mean, they could be in for it. They could be in for a lot of trouble. They did, however, beat them in Minnesota before, so there's a very good chance that they end up winning. But again, I don't really think that whoever ends up coming out on top is going to beat the Liberty, who already came out on top. But we'll see, because obviously, things happen. And anything can happen with these kinds of teams. Now, Collier in Game 4, once again, had the performance of her life. 29 points and 13 rebounds. Literally the only positive thing on the offensive side of the ball for Minnesota in this game, despite Natisha... my English is bad. Aside from Natisha, excuse me. And Natisha in this game ended up scoring 16 points in 23 minutes, but everybody else on the court was just really, really bad. Like, they all played really, really bad. And let's just go ahead and look at the box scores real quick. Bridget Carlton, forgive me if I messed up that last name, she ended the game with only shooting 2 for 11 from 3, which is awful. And let's see, who else? And then there's also Kayla McBride, who ended the game 2 for 6 from the field. And these kinds of productions, it's not helping the team at all. Now, with the Connecticut Sun, they had more than one player score over 15 points. And that's really sort of the big difference in this matchup compared to, or at least in this game compared to the previous games. Is that multiple people were able to step up for Connecticut when they needed them to. And the Minnesota Lynx, no one was able to step up aside from Nafisa. So we'll see exactly who's going to end up closing this game out in the next game, because now it seems to be like it's going to be anyone's game since they've proven that they can win away games as well as win at home. And I'm only going to cover Game 4 of the Liberty against the Aces because, the reality is that, this team is just a much better team. Sure, Aja Wilson might be the MVP, but at the end of the day, you can be the MVP and your team is just not all that talented compared to this team, the Liberty. I mean, the Liberty have a very, very talented squad. And obviously, that's with Sabrina and Brenna Stewart. Sabrina ended the game with 22 points. Brenna Stewart actually kind of hindered her team's performance, but it didn't really matter. She shot 8 for 21 for only 19 points. But again, does not really matter because at the end of the day, they ended up winning the series, and a win is a win. You win by a mile or win by an inch. And however, I will say that there were some players that just were abysmal from the field for the Liberty, even though it didn't really matter. Lainey Hamilton, that's her middle and last name, I believe. Again, forgive me if I messed all that up. She was 1 for 7 from the field, which is awful. Then there was also Kennedy Burke, 0 for 4, again, awful. And Kayla Thornton, again, awful, 0 for 3 from the field. But aside from that, Sabrina Ionescu was just enough and provided enough to beat this team, while at the same time the Aces were sort of unable to keep up. And it's really that second half where they were in a ditch. It's really that second half that hindered them. Because, 13 points in one quarter, 11 points in the other quarter, it's not ideal. But that's all that I have to say about these WNBA games. So now we will go ahead and go into the next segment, which is going to be about LeBron James and the one and only offspring himself, Bronny James Jr. So we are going to go ahead and talk about their first game ever played with together. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I
feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the